right, so we're going to go ahead and begin today's program. I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. My name is Doug Wendt. I'm the President and Chief Growth Officer here at Wendt Partners, and today's topic is 10 enterprise advantages of HubSpot CRM that your Salesforce rep probably didn't tell you. And to join me in having this conversation is Anya Tijerina. Anya is a solution specialist, a HubSpot solution specialist with our team and leads a lot of our enterprise implementations. Welcome, Anya. And what we'd like to do is we're going to do a couple things together. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of Salesforce, the history of HubSpot, just enough to get some background on why these companies have such completely different business models and how that relates to you as a customer. And then we're going to dig into each of the 10 factors, the 10 things that I think are really going to be very revealing capabilities in HubSpot that you probably didn't know about. So before we do that, a couple of housekeeping items. Number one, we're going to keep things strictly to the hour. We will make sure to wrap up by 1 p.m. Eastern and not a moment later. Number two, if you have a question during the program, please feel free to share it by hitting the Q&A button down at the bottom of your screen in the Zoom webinar. We will see that. And then depending on where we are in the conversation, we'll either answer it live in the conversation or we may answer it online for you. But we want to make sure to answer everyone's questions. So with that, let's begin. Anya, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And Anya, I'm just curious, tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you become, a HubSpot implementation professional? I mean, that's a pretty new thing. It really wasn't a thing, maybe even 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And here you are leading the charge as a top implementation professional in this ecosystem. Tell us a little about how that came about for you.
So I think it was a bit non-traditional. I started in food and beverage, and at some point they were like, we need to start marketing, and the local store marketing manager was born. And from there I was like, I think this is what I want to do. And so I moved into a director role at Dairy Queen. And from there I typed in...
A Berkshire Hathaway company, by the way, for those who know. Go ahead, sorry.
But no, I started there, and one day I typed in free CRM software. And HubSpot came up, and I immediately, just ease of use. Again, somebody who had not been in the software before, I fell in love with it. And I realized marketing and HubSpot is what I wanted to do. So I moved into agency life, where I got to take on more complex marketing clients and being a strategist and coach and working pretty closely with HubSpot. And that's when I realized maybe I don't want to do marketing anymore. Maybe I just want to do HubSpot. If you put a content calendar in front of me, I do not want to review it. I don't. I don't want to. I want to create a workflow, and I want to drive that marketing campaign, but I don't want to review the day in and day out of marketing.
We've got a whole nother division in the company just for that. So you don't have to. Amen.
Yeah. And I think it was that combination. And then I kind of just said, I think I want to take the step and really focus on HubSpot. I see it as being such a great source for so many different levels of companies. And I wanted to give that experience to everyone that I worked with. And so I came and I switched over into HubSpot world, just solely HubSpot. And from there, I've led some really great implementations of the software.
Spectacular. Thank you, Anya. And I also want to add, you've worked with some very small clients and some Fortune 100 clients in your work at Wendt Partners. And you've helped clients migrate off of Salesforce, as well as help clients who were debating what platform to use, Salesforce, HubSpot, something else. So I know you're going to bring a lot of interesting insights to the conversation. Again, we're honored to have you. Thanks for joining us today. So I wanted to talk just very briefly about Salesforce, because they are, historically the market leader. And I say historically because I think that this is in the process of change. But I want to just share, I think, a couple of touch points that I think frame the conversation. And the first one is it's important to understand your history. So, Salesforce started in 1999. This is actually a photo of one of their offices, and a year into their existence. More power to them. We've got the big CRT monitors. We probably got a T1 trunk line, or maybe some people on dial-up. I see some old style workstation setups there. This is when Salesforce was created. And I think it's easy to forget because we've been in the cloud era since basically the late 90s. That's a long time. We're a quarter century in basically to the world that Salesforce created. And it's really critical to understand that many of the underlying aspects of the technology still hail from this era. And anyone who's worked in the Salesforce platform knows that. At the end of the day, one of the things that you're buying when you partner with a company is the history of how the software was developed. Now, I think another thing to understand is how different companies grow. And this is really significant. Both of these points are very significant when we talk about HubSpot because they have a direct impact on the customer. This first one, because it gives you an insight into some of the age of the technology and maybe some of the assumptions that went into its development. This one, because historically Salesforce, no company in the industry has gobbled up more companies in its time on this planet than Salesforce. 72 distinct technology acquisitions in its history. And this is something Salesforce has historically been extremely proud of. We actually think it's the wrong approach. And one of the things that we're going to talk about today is why an M&A strategy by your CRM or ERP vendor for that matter is a dangerous thing for you as a customer. So, they're very proud of that. This is actually from their investor deck. But we're going to talk about how that impacts the customer at the end of the day. So keep these things in mind. HubSpot is not only a newer company, okay, but it started with two different premises. Premise number one is that we are building the product for the user. Okay. And at Wendt Partners, we talk about design for the user and configuring and training around the user's needs, particularly in CRM. When we have a great technology that's difficult to use or that's not properly configured for our users, they're not going to adopt it, or they're going to adopt it with great frustration. The moment that happens, you can kiss the investment basically goodbye, because the CRM system is only as good as the information and the activities that are shared with it. Not just the information, but the utilization. This is a technology investment that is not only supposed to help give you visibility from senior management into what's happening in sales, customer service, marketing operations, and everything else in RevOps. It is also a tool that's supposed to help make them more successful. And if they don't adopt the technology, or if they adopt it begrudgingly, you can bet your bottom dollar you're never going to see that investment pay off the way that it could. So very important to understand from the outset those considerations. Let's start digging into some of these myths about HubSpot. We actually are going to share with everyone at the end a copy of the PDF that accompanies this program. I'm actually going to share it as part of our discussion today. So we've created this guide, this data sheet that we call the 10 enterprise advantages of HubSpot CRM that your Salesforce rep probably didn't tell you. We could have just as well called it 10 things that are myths about HubSpot that we want to blast away today. So we phrased them as a question. Let's talk about the first one. Anya, can HubSpot CRM be extensively customized for my use case? Is this just an out-of-the-box product that you got to use the way it comes, or can we configure and customize it for our specific business environment?
No, it's definitely a customizable solution. I think what I experience the most when people are coming over from Salesforce into HubSpot is their Salesforce admin wants to recreate Salesforce in HubSpot. But I think it comes it's almost like a double-edged sword. Like, do we like the functionality we receive in Salesforce? Yes, but are we moving to HubSpot because our team isn't adopting Salesforce? Most likely. So I think this is where in the year 2023, it is the year of customization. We are getting just endless opportunities to customize our portals, from custom fields and objects, object views, being able to change our forms and our pipelines to fit our business need. There's so many opportunities in here to just customize it and make it work for your team, and even make it work a little bit better than Salesforce might be working for you.
Absolutely. I'm going to show a couple of those examples just to give folks a sense of what we have here. So, and for some of you, this will be an introduction to your first view of HubSpot. So I pulled up this is in our live portal, by the way. I'm demonstrating from a live portal. You're seeing here our own company record, and there are a whole bunch of things we can do to configure and customize. We can create different sections for any properties that we want. Of course, we can have an extensive range of custom properties. We can also completely configure this overview tab to have whatever data sets from the database we want to share here. Historically, we've always had this timeline view for activities, which is extremely powerful. I'll actually go and take a look at a contact record to really flesh that out. So everything on the screen here has a significant layer of configurability, which is my personal term for no code, as well as the potential to customize the solution with actual, coded enhancements. As an example, you'll see here we've created some custom objects in our system. This one is a client resource example. So if I want to have a document library of certain resources, I can put that here, and I can organize these in any frame that I want. I can change what actually shows up in the index view. So, this configurability is extremely powerful. You'll actually see here, and everything I'm describing here is no code now. This is overview tab customization, additional tabs, right sidebar, left sidebar, data highlights, association tables, association cards. I mean, I'm exhausted just thinking about all the things that we can do to truly make this not just a HubSpot system, but a particular client's HubSpot system. The more advanced direction, which we'll talk a little bit more about as we keep going today, is this whole idea of bringing third-party applications in, interacting with HubSpot, and basically building that single pane of glass that everyone is so excited for. I also want to shout out to one of our attendees today, Chris Moore, who said he's really missing those CRT monitors. Chris, I have a friend who does electronics recycling. I will get you a CRT monitor so you can keep living large, my friend. All right, Anya, anything you want to add on that whole, can we really customize for our use case?
Yeah, I think the one thing to call out here too is that you can customize different views, fields, objects based on your team. So that's something that is huge. If you have teams that work in two different departments, you can then filter out views that other teams are seeing because it's not relevant information, allowing your teams to drive to the information that they need more efficiently.
Spectacular, and a really, really good call out, because that helps us start to think about where we're going with this discussion. The next question on the list is actually, can HubSpot CRM scale to serve hundreds or even thousands of users with proper security and administrative controls in place? So guess what? One of those things is giving people just the information that they need to see. Tell us a little bit about the layers of information access and permissioning, and then we'll talk a little bit about the security side of it as well.
Yeah, you can definitely customize permissions based on your teams. You can take things away, you can add things, you can give them all the keys to the castle, or maybe you just want them to be able to go in and view contacts that they own only. There really is such a large variety of permission setting there. And I think that also goes into, if you have the keys to the castle, you can also control presets and what your team can see, which is huge. Because you're giving everybody a consistent experience across the board. But this is a really great example of all of the permission sets. I mean, there's a ton that you can do within them. It breaks everything out really simply. So you have things like CRM, marketing, sales, and they all have different permissions within them. And so I think that this is super helpful too, in kind of allowing you to plan for which team members are going to get which permissions.
And then let's talk a little bit about some of the enterprise level functions that are available. I know we're able to, for example, have conditional access to certain things, and make sure if I'm an account rep, I only get to see maybe the accounts that are associated to me or that are assigned to my territory. What are some of the examples where you've been able to really create a granular permission solution for a client based on a very, a use case that comes to mind?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing comes down to being able to see what other people are doing within the company. And so that's where we use a lot of those really granular permissions, like being able to even view certain properties, being able to view certain pipelines. These are all things that we start to scale back on when we want to say, hey, we want to have more control over our system, and we want to make sure that everybody has the correct visibility without seeing too much or being involved in another level of business that they have no reason to be involved in. So I think that those are really the two things that I would say are super important there as well.
Awesome. And I'll add a couple things to this list that I know are important from an IT security perspective. One is that Enterprise Edition HubSpot supports a very comprehensive single sign-on or SSO methodology. That's a really important call out. We're doing a lot of work with clients to support them in that environment. The other thing that is an important back-end technology consideration is IT security for the database. So 2 key points there I want to make. Number one, HubSpot is hosted on redundant cloud AWS technology. So it is backed up, it is protected, it has 99.9% uptime. Historically, it's an extremely robust and safe operating environment for your data. And the second thing is, as a company that also always evolves, HubSpot has been aggressively moving forward on 2 additional layers of security, one front end and one back end. A front end enhancement has been the layering in of optional and then in some cases mandatory 2-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication if that's your preferred description. A couple different ways to make that happen. In addition, HubSpot has migrated off of an API key model in the last year into what HubSpot calls a private app model. For those of you in the development world, you'll recognize that this switches from having a single backend database key to the entire platform to instead being able to create highly granular and use case specific permission sets for any custom connections or integrations you create between HubSpot and any other systems in your technology operating environment. The last piece I'll mention on this front is actually HubSpot is the only vendor in the space to have a dedicated operations hub, which is essentially a data quality command center and data management toolkit, which we'll talk about more as we continue to move through these questions. Anya, another common question here. Can HubSpot CRM truly provide a single pane of glass view of our customers, from what they do with marketing communications to their sales activities, to their service, their tickets, maybe logging in or seeing things on our website? You know, is it truly one solution, or is this all just a bunch of different modules and products that maybe got acquired and cobbled together?
Yeah, I would say as you switch from object to object or you're interacting with the platform, you never click into anything and wonder, am I still in HubSpot? Which you can experience some other places. And so I think that is something that HubSpot and even some of the app partners that have worked with them has done, is they've created this like single pane of glass, and then they've also carried over into these partners. And so you get a unique experience, but it's consistent across the board. So you never wonder, what am I going to look at or what's going to be visible? The only things that are going to change are things that you as the user are going to change for your team to make them more efficient. And so as far as what you open in a contact, a company, a deal, it all looks the same. And I think that that's really valuable, because if you can master one, you can master them all. And so that's what I really love about the HubSpot platform.
Awesome. Anya, great points. I'm going to add a couple of thoughts to that. First of all, I want to make sure we are absolutely clear that HubSpot is one single platform, one database, one code base, period. So HubSpot as a company, we talked a little bit about Salesforce's history of acquisition. We view that as a liability for customers. Why? Because it never makes financial sense for a company to invest as much in integrating that acquired product into their product suite as it did to spend the money to acquire the company itself. Put another way, the reality of M&A is that 99% of companies are going to acquire another firm, take their front-end technology, rebadge it with a logo, do the bare minimum to connect that to the rest of the suite and call it their product. And anybody who has been a multi-product customer in the Salesforce ecosystem knows this. We've had customers where they realize that when they move over to HubSpot, they're signing one contract for one piece of software with one vendor, and with Salesforce, they literally came off 3 contracts for 3 separate products with 3 different actual companies, which were divisions or acquisitions of Salesforce. So HubSpot does not actually acquire front-end technology. It's not like we go out and we say, oh, there's a company that has a great CRM, we're going to acquire it and we're going to call it ours. That's not how we roll. In the HubSpot ecosystem, everything that HubSpot, the company, sells is actually the same code, the same product that HubSpot built. So from a customer experience perspective, this means sales, marketing, service are literally in one piece of software. In fact, the only difference between the hubs is what drop downs are visible. It's literally just a matter of menu items being present or not present, depending on what you purchased in terms of the addition. But this is one product. The other thing I want to point out that really keys into something Anya said, we're actually looking entirely inside HubSpot, okay? But we're able to pull data and integrations seamlessly into HubSpot. I actually think this is much more elegant than what we've seen competition historically do. They're relying primarily on maybe an iframe methodology, not really native in most cases. But you'll see here our activity history here, basically our timeline. All these integrations are pulling natively into HubSpot the timestamped events and other data. And then down the right-hand side here, you'll see I have a number of third-party products that we use that are integrated into our own hub. We've got PandaDoc here and DocuSign. We've got RingCentral, which is our cloud phone system. We've got Sales Navigator from LinkedIn. We've got an org chart tool that's in here. These are all seamlessly integrated. So whether I'm looking at and interacting with a third-party product or entirely HubSpot native functionality, it's the same experience across the board. So can we provide a true single pane of glass? Yes, absolutely. And I think honestly, we're the only company that does it. Let's talk about another common question. Anya, I'm going to pull this back up. Can HubSpot operate in what I like to call M3, multi, a multi-division, multi-currency, multi-language, and or multi-business unit environment? Let's talk about life in the complex enterprise.
Yeah, I definitely think this is also like one of those myths, and a lot of clients don't understand it when they come in, is that we actually do have business units. You can purchase it as an add-on, and this allows for multiple brands to be managed within one place instead of having multiple portals or anything like that. And so this allows you to have your own brand kit, domain tracking, analytics. It really is a huge feature that is overlooked, I would say often. And like when we talk about scalability, HubSpot allows you to add up to, I believe, 100 business units. So, I mean, there is a ton of options there if you're scaling, or if you're a company that is acquiring other companies pretty rapidly, or if that's on your 2023, 2024 roadmap. It's definitely a huge benefit of HubSpot.
Awesome. Let's talk a little about currencies and languages.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's a big topic, especially when we're experiencing clients who are more global. And so we allow for multiple languages to be on our content, knowledge bases, blogs. It's all available to you. I believe 12 native languages that it's able to change everything over to. So we have a pretty vast system that allows for native languages. And then we also have currencies. So currencies, you can have different currencies in your pipeline. You can sort your pipeline by currency type, and you can also run workflows to assign currency type based on certain criteria. So I think it really does encompass like that global sales mindset of being able to sell around the world.
Awesome. And there are also, just as a pointer, multiple languages supported in the user interface of HubSpot. It's a smaller number than the numbers supported in the multi-language marketing and content publishing. But we have clients who are using HubSpot in multiple languages for their users, which is why HubSpot is a global product with partners and solutions in every continent. In addition to the fact that you can be a North American company that is operating globally and managing multiple currencies, market segments. Another thing that we often talk with clients about is managing information about which division of the company had a particular sale or a particular deal. We've been able to craft and configure that in the portals. So there's an enormous amount here to help you scale with HubSpot and configure it so that it scales the way you need it to scale. So both scaling from a technology perspective and scaling from a business growth perspective. Anything else, Anya, that comes to mind on that particular point?
No, I think you covered it.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and pop in the next question. And so the next question here is, Can HubSpot integrate with my existing tech stack? So, boy, this comes up 5 times a day. Salesforce talks extensively about its app exchange, but what about HubSpot? What's the story with HubSpot? Is it a standalone thing? Can it integrate? What's the story there?
Yeah, so I definitely think that the app marketplace it's excellent. It's the ease of use, being able to kind of filter down by what you're looking for. Even free applications, they work great. And I think things to call out that I think are a little bit different is in the HubSpot ecosystem, it all starts with, you get descriptions of app functionality, demo videos, installation guides, and real customer reviews. And so it really helps you takes you through that decision-making process all on one page, because you're not going into different places looking for different information. It really does try to help you make the best decision for your business within one page of information. And so I think that is something that is unique, and it's something that also allows for ease of installation. You don't have to hire a partner. You don't have to hire anyone to do this for you. It gives you the installation guides. It helps you understand what you're doing and what the repercussions of adding this tool to your system are. Are you syncing data bidirectionally? Are you syncing it just one direction? So I think that's really important for new users and veteran users to be able to see what the impact of their portal will be by adding an additional tool.
Spectacular. Yeah, no, go ahead, Anya. Keep rolling.
I see you have Zapier here too. So that's the other thing I want to call out as well, is that if there's not, necessarily a native solution, you can definitely leverage tools like Zapier, which will allow you to connect external applications as well.
Awesome. So actually, I'm going to key into a question that Derek asked: is HubSpot Planning and Avalara direct integration? So although I don't have knowledge of every product that's on the integration roadmap, typically the challenge is actually the other vendor committing to an integration with HubSpot. HubSpot actually, as we'll talk about, has one of the most thoroughly documented open API libraries in the industry. In fact, you can literally for free, go online, create a developer app, create an integration app, submit it to HubSpot to be tested and validated, and then it goes live. There's absolutely no barrier to entry there. I do know that products like Avalara, for example, do offer a Zapier integration. So that might be a starting point to make those applications connect. For those who don't know, Avalara is a tax management application for sales tax compliance. Great question. So what I can say is that as long as the other vendor has A, an API library, and B, a desire to share and operate in a multi-app ecosystem, we've never been forced to say no. Where we have had to say no is a vendor that says, we're only going to work with these products, or we're going to charge our customer, $10,000 a year for the API library, and then maybe we'll talk. Some vendors have a very closed mindset. One of the reasons that we're here talking about HubSpot is HubSpot has an extraordinarily open mindset as a company. There's literally no barrier to building or utilizing an integration, whether it's off the shelf, like in the app marketplace, or whether it's something custom, whether you're using a trigger tool like a Zapier or a Make, or whether it's custom coded. Awesome question, and thanks for those comments, Anya. And by the way, there are over 1,000 applications in the HubSpot app marketplace. A lot of people just have no idea how many companies have already committed to creating solutions in the HubSpot environment. It's immense, and again, we've got solutions in the expanded ecosystem for nearly every possible scenario. Let's talk a little bit about reporting. Reporting. Can HubSpot really support my reporting needs? And by the way, can we see HubSpot data in a BI platform? But let's start with, what's the story on reporting, Anya?
I have a lot to say about reporting. We could probably do an entire webinar on this because I think it's something that I see so frequently, especially on these LinkedIn, like Salesforce versus HubSpot, like everybody talks about reporting. And so I think something I experience a lot with my Salesforce clients that are moving over to HubSpot is they always say, well, we chose Salesforce because the reporting is just top notch. It really has an edge on HubSpot. And I go, yeah, that sounds great. And they go, but we can't get our team to adopt the software. So at what point is your reporting really accurate? And so I think that that's really where we see in HubSpot, I think HubSpot recognizes that everybody receives and interprets data and information differently. And so while you can get great pivot charts and things like that out of Salesforce, not saying you can't do it in HubSpot. I think this is one thing that I love is these templates and being able to kind of go through in your data sources. You can, choose what data sources you want to visualize. And I think one thing for me, I have a master's degree in data analytics, is I was like, I like line charts and I like tables. They just make sense. And then I came into HubSpot and I was like, what value is a pie chart? It makes no sense. But you want to know what? It captures your eye and it allows you to quickly capture information in a very visual way. And I think that that's one thing that Salesforce really doesn't consider is they just want you to be able to drive a data-driven operations table and put it into, different software and be able to manipulate it, where I think HubSpot really has an edge here in allowing you to say, there's some people that love data and will sit in data all day, but then we have marketers, we have people who are very visual, who are like very, graphical, and they want to see their data interpreted in a way that they want to receive the data. So I think that that's a huge benefit of being able to use HubSpot reports and using their templates. Again, you don't think, oh, I want to see this in a pie chart until you see it in a pie chart and you're like, oh yeah, that looks nice. Or you don't want to see it in a column chart and, things like that until there's a ton of like color and, attribution reporting. And I just think it really does have an edge there.
And I just want to point out that there are actually 10 different native presentation formats available in the library: vertical bar, horizontal line, funnel, area, pie, quota, table, KPIs, and a straight feed of the data. You can mix and match, you can change those. The other thing is any report in HubSpot has infinite drill down and detail. So if you're looking at a report and it's showing you a group of contacts based upon something in that record, you can literally go right here and click. Anything you see in teal is a hyperlink. And anytime you hover over these visual representations, these are drill downs. So this is not just a report. It's not like in the old days, the crystal reports, like here's the thing and go PDF it. This is live data. We can go into any record. We can go explore that data. We can export it. Let's also talk a little bit about the power of the dashboarding tool, because I know dashboards are a thing a lot of people talk about. Let's explore that for a moment. Tell us a little bit, Anya, about how dashboards work in HubSpot.
I love a dashboard. So I think that the thing that I like the most about dashboards is, one, you can segment the information that you want to quickly capture and view on one page. And then you also have the ability to not only filter on the report, but filter the entire dashboard itself. So I think that that is something. So if I want to come in and I want to be able to see reports or things that just have me or my team, or maybe it's a date range, it filters every report on that dashboard and allows me to not have to go in one by one or adjust things or look too hard, because we're busy and we don't have a lot of time. And if we're coming in here to get a status on, our efforts, and we need to quickly capture it for this week, yesterday, whatever it is, I think that that's super valuable. And then the other thing about dashboards that I love is being able to send it to yourself. So that's the other thing is, it doesn't just live in HubSpot. You can send it and you can also embed things in it. So again, if you want to bring in a little bit more of your external details, you can embed things into your dashboard, as well as certain HubSpot pages you can also embed into your dashboard and be able to quickly capture them. Like I said, we could do a whole webinar on recording. I really do, because coming from a data analytics background, I never valued the kind of reporting that HubSpot provides. Like, I was very much like, put it in a table and I'm going to find anomalies in there. But after moving into and really getting in depth with HubSpot reporting, there's so many options that you can do. And not even like just sending the information. You can share it and you can email it and you can set it up as a recurring email. So if you want to get something weekly sent to you, go ahead and set it up as recurring and it'll send it out. So I just think it does a great job of keeping everything you need in one place. But if you need to send it out or you need to manipulate it somewhere else, or you want to send it to, if you do an executive dashboard, the power is all there to be able to pull it out as well.
And I'm going to point out that this emailing, this doesn't just give you like a link. It actually will embed the graphics of the report into the email. We've had hugely positive feedback from client CEOs saying, that when they get their emailed report, it's not just a link, hey, view this information. They're actually looking at the data inside the email, and then they can also click just like they're in HubSpot. So it's extremely powerful. We have clients who embed these, as you mentioned, Anya. Let's take a few moments on BI. If I've got my Tableau or I've got my Power BI, can HubSpot provide data to those platforms?
Absolutely. So we definitely integrate and we are able to share that information. So if that's the way that your company wants to receive information, I think that HubSpot does accommodate other reporting platforms. But like I said, I'm a huge fan of keeping it all within HubSpot because I think the capabilities there are they're excellent.
Here you go. I wanted to just show this as a live example. I emailed this from HubSpot, and here's all the data, just as if I were inside HubSpot. And of course, I can click and go in. But again, it's not just that link. It's live information displayed in the email. It's really, really powerful. So awesome. So we have both options, and with Operations Hub Enterprise Edition, you can also create specific data sets. You can share them to Snowflake Data Share. You can organize these data sets to align with your BI environment or your ERP system, or if you even want to establish a data lake so that you're looking at your slicing data in the HubSpot environment appropriate to your data management methodology. Talk about enterprise capabilities. So let's talk a little bit about the other side of the equation. So we got the business users and we have the technical users, and we need to meet the needs of both. We just talked about the needs of those business users with great BI and great dashboard and reporting and analytics capabilities. Let's talk about the IT side of the equation. So we discussed SSO. Tell us a little bit about things like workflow automation and programmable automations and custom coded workflow actions, Anya. And then I'll dig in and we'll talk a little bit about the API library as well.
Definitely. We don't want to overlook the power of webhooks and being able to share information. So I think that is one thing that I see very often is clients are like, oh, well, I have this and it doesn't integrate. How do I get this information here? And so that's where we have the ability to say, yeah, leverage webhooks, set up automation in that way. If you need to send deal data over to a shipping department and they need to create a purchase order, it's all there. And it's just a matter of, what does your support system look like? Are you a team that has, rich IT support in the back end who can help you? Or do you need support from a partner who can then, help get you up and running and get your two systems integrated? So I think that those are things that it just depends on your technical ability, but we don't want to overshine it and say oh, well, HubSpot's just for the average user, it's so simple, anyone can do it, because we do have to recognize that there are some advanced IT functions that are needed and that we do need to, go through the process of, do we have the support that we need or do we need to outsource it? So there definitely is a pretty robust, there's a robust IT functionality that is also required, especially when you're talking about adding in things like Ops Hub and other, it's not no code. You need to code. So I think that those are definitely, we always talk about how easy it is, but we also need to talk about the limitations of some of our users.
Yes. So we need to meet two kinds of audiences. We need to meet that, I want ease of use, no code, let me do as much as I can. And we do that in in beautiful, extensive splendor, but then we also want to meet the needs of customers whose applications and environments require advanced or highly bespoke environments. I just wanted to point out that, we're showing you actually part of Ops Hub here. So Operations Hub, or Ops Hub as we call it. For those who don't know, HubSpot has 5 hubs. They are Sales Hub, Service Hub, Marketing Hub. Those are sort of the big 3. CMS Hub, which historically was a platform and is a platform for building websites inside the HubSpot system, but we'll also talk about building web applications using CMS Hub. And then the most recent entrant is Operations Hub. Operations Hub supports your integration and data sync library. It allows you to manage your data model. It allows you to organize and manage. Here, I've got the tutorial. Yes, I wanted to actually show the screen. There we go. I got to it. It was giving me the nice overview tour. I can go back to that tour. This is our data model. We have a number of custom as well as standard objects in the system here. And on top of that, we also have the ability to do data quality management. So that isn't just deduplication. We have duplicate management in here, data synchronization. It is also the structure of the data and the quality of how it's organized, and making sure that field values auto-format to the right formats. So there's an enormous amount of capability because, again, no system is any stronger than the weakest data that is in that system. Remember at the beginning we talked about if users don't adopt and don't experience and engage with the platform, you're never going to empower them successfully, nor are you going to get the data that you need to make critical business decisions. So those two pieces working together is really, really critical. Another topic that we discuss a lot: can HubSpot really provide deep integration with my ERP platform? Let's talk about the world of ERP systems. For those who don't know, ERP is Enterprise Resource Planning. It is essentially the category of software that in most mid-market and larger enterprises runs your accounting, your finance, HR, and it typically also handles manufacturing and production operations, distribution, or in professional services, it's where you're doing your professional services automation. So that's the category, ERP systems. Anya, thoughts on HubSpot and ERP?
I think that there's a lot of options there. So we do have like some native options. We also have native options that will create bridges between HubSpot and your ERP system. And additionally, I really think that we're going to see a huge uptick in the ability to integrate with ERP systems since HubSpot is focusing so much on RevOps. And I think that this is a great time to mention how strongly they're focusing on, this branch of business, being able to say, hey, take this 6-hour academy course and here's a workbook, and go in and lead your team and drive alignment between the things that are bringing in revenue and the actions that you are taking to drive that revenue in. And so I think that this is just the beginning. There's a lot of change coming in 2023. There's a lot of change that I've already seen. But I think that this focus and really seeing a lot of the HubSpot influencers that I followed on LinkedIn switching over to primarily focusing on RevOps, I have no doubt that this is going to be a huge turn for HubSpot and its ability to manage revenue operations within the platform.
Awesome. Let me key off of that with a couple of additional thoughts. By the way, you really nailed it. We're trying to come at this from two perspectives. One is the technology angle, and the other is the process angle. So I just want to point out that HubSpot actually, we talked about this before with the ecosystem, but HubSpot has a very expandable environment of what can be done with it. And at Wendt Partners, we've done an extensive amount of work in ERP integrations with platforms such as Oracle, SAP, Epicor, NetSuite, Zoho, Infor, Global Shop, Visual Enterprise, Dynamics Nav, Sage. These are all, the most common ERP systems that we see in most market segments. Those products collectively probably represent 70% of the market for ERP. What's important to understand is we have options for how to do this, depending on what you're looking to achieve and the level of integration you want. Most of these products have at least some level of free connector in the ecosystem directory. In addition, there are third-party toolkits that we are certified partner with and that we work with to configure to more sophisticated use cases. And then there's all the way to the other end of the spectrum to a custom integration project. At Wendt Partners, we've actually developed and deliver custom integrations on our own middleware platform. We call it WeHub Connect. And it's built on AWS, the same environment that hosts HubSpot. So this is a really serious commitment by HubSpot to making it possible to not only connect with your ERP, but actually build business processes between the two systems. For example, we can use custom objects in HubSpot to create an order record and an order index, and then pull that header data into HubSpot as native data, and then click from that into detailed data inside the ERP. There are enormous capabilities here. We can also use our CRM extension toolkit to trigger actions in third-party systems from inside HubSpot, which is something I'll talk a little bit more as we get into our last two questions today. So let me bring up our next question. Can HubSpot CRM support complex CPQ, project management, and other advanced functions that typically, press the edges of what can be done in CRM technology? Anya, I know you're working with a number of clients on these exact things. Tell us how you're making it happen.
So I think the first thing to call out here is that working with these two companies has been excellent. They are accommodating, they are knowledgeable, they are willing to listen to what you're trying to solution and then solution with you instead of just saying like, no, out of the box, you cannot have this. And so I think that is one thing, is if you are going to use these, the connection, especially Deal Hub, PSO Hub, you get a great experience with PSO Hub. It's like going over into HubSpot. It's the same. The user interface is exactly the same. It functions very similarly. And this gives you the ability to do quite a bit. You can quote out of here, you can invoice out of here. They integrate with certain invoicing software. I think there are even some on the roadmap that they're coming in and they are going to be able to integrate with shortly. So you can run external projects, internal projects. It really gives you a wide variety of things that you can do. And then it gives you a different, ability to visualize your projects as well. So if you're more like task chart oriented, Gantt chart, you can do it all in here. And so I think that this is really, we deal with, Monday.coms and things like that. And the sharing of information and, they're not exactly seamless when it comes in to HubSpot. But what we do have is advanced, partner programs and things like this that integrate very seamlessly and give you such a great experience. And like I said, if it doesn't have a native functionality, they're definitely willing to solution with you to come up with, custom solutions that are going to allow you to accomplish the things that you're looking to accomplish. For example, right now we are pulling a Word document via API and JSON payload into Deal Hub, and it's putting it into a quote for us, and it's working beautifully. So there's a lot of things that are available here in Deal Hub and PSO Hub that, I just think that things like this might be overlooked because, again, they're not one of the 75 companies that, HubSpot has bought and just, rebranded. So definitely want to call out how great it is working with those two companies specifically.
Absolutely, Anya. I'm going to add a couple thoughts to that. So first of all, there is a network of companies who have developed extension applications that press the envelope of what you can do while staying within the HubSpot ecosystem. That's the two products that Anya's referring to. We are a partner with, we were actually the first North American partner for PSO Hub and the first HubSpot partner to also become a Deal Hub partner. These are two companies who we've invested significant effort into building great partnerships with, and we're implementing advanced solutions for clients using this suite of products with HubSpot as the core. And obviously, as you can see from the name and what we showed a little bit of PSO Hub, these are products designed to operate in your HubSpot ecosystem. Okay, so that's point number one. In fact, Deal Hub is actually the leading CPQ replacement for Salesforce CPQ. We're actually doing a webinar on that a couple months down the road, and we're going to basically go head to head and show how HubSpot with Deal Hub is a better solution, more seamless, more powerful than the typical approach in the Salesforce ecosystem, even if Salesforce's native CPQ tool. So we're doing really advanced, sophisticated project management here, Gantt charts, project resource loading, analysis, win, profit and loss analysis by project, all of that with PSO Hub. We're building very detailed, complex configuration, price and quote capabilities with Deal Hub seamlessly connected through the HubSpot ecosystem. So, and these are just two products. You know, as I alluded to earlier, we are a partner with about 15 extension products in the ecosystem that meet the use case needs of our customers. Another example is extending into field service automation. So if you're an industrial or service company that has a fleet of trucks in the field and you want to dispatch field service operations seamlessly from HubSpot ticketing, we have a solution to do that too. So don't assume that your use case is precluded just because you think there are things that you're going to need that don't show up on the HubSpot feature list. Reach out and ask us, because overwhelmingly we're finding solutions that meet and exceed client expectations and work better than anything that they came from in a Salesforce or other environment. That brings us to our last question, which sort of extends upon that. Can a HubSpot CRM deliver custom enterprise solutions inside its development environment? You know, can I develop stuff for HubSpot? Can I build, let's say, custom UI components, or create actions in other systems or from other systems to HubSpot the way I want? Tell us, Anya, how flexible really is HubSpot to develop custom solutions?
Yeah, I definitely think that they put it all out there. There's nothing like HubSpot doesn't gatekeep information. They put it all out there. So whether you're using their development docs or you're going through, before they gave us the ability to create custom objects, we were going through and doing it within the developer portals. And these are just things to like call out. Is I think we're also seeing HubSpot recognizing what is needed to be done by, internal users, and it's allowing them to natively do that. So custom objects now can be created within HubSpot. So I think that they really do a great job of, guiding developers to give you a great solution, as opposed to somebody kind of tinkering around in there and hoping that it works. So I definitely think that this is one thing that is different, especially when it comes to HubSpot. And I think the one thing I also appreciate is it kind of gives me a little bit of an opportunity to learn something new. I'm not a developer. I don't code, but I do like to go into their generators and have them code things for me. And then I get to learn where I can adjust code and things like that to give me the display that I want. So I think it does enable the user, the average user, the not developer user, to still have a little bit of control over custom development work.
Awesome. And Anya, I just brought us right into the CRM development toolkit. So as Anya said, this is not gatekeeper stuff. This is open and available. You can set up a developer account. You can also access this inside your HubSpot account. You'll see all the different components that you can build into what we call an extension card. What's an extension card? These are the cards. Over here, you see like the Sales Navigator example. These are standard cards that come in the system. So if we created a custom object for HubSpot Solutions. That's one of our 4 lines of business. These cards are standard cards, but you can create custom extension cards either to support unique delivery of native functionality or to manage integrated functionality with other platforms. You can provide alerts here. You can provide buttons, rows of buttons for multiple actions, checkboxes, description lists, dividers. We've got heading capability in here. You can drop in images, progress bars, okay, radio button lists, selection inputs, statistics can appear here, stacks, tags, and a text input area, as well as a tile. These are all options that are available today inside the developer toolkit for customizing the user experience of HubSpot. So we have an extensive no-code solution We have an extensive low-code solution, and you can hop right in and build completely custom-coded solutions here. We've got GraphQL based in here. We've got GitHub integration. There's a very comprehensive GitHub repository available. Feel free to check it out if you're a developer and you want to see what kinds of applications people are developing on HubSpot. The other call out I want to make here before we move into Q&A as we come to the bottom of the hour is HubSpot also allows you to actually build applications that leverage HubSpot but are not necessarily limited to being inside HubSpot. So we are a partner with Impulse, which is another firm in the ecosystem that has developed Hub LMS, a learning management system that actually is built inside HubSpot. We also have a partner portal, also from the same team, built inside HubSpot. What this is doing is it's utilizing the power of HubSpot CMS, which at Professional Edition allows you to build very comprehensive web applications. And an Enterprise Edition allows you to actually control login, log out, and user level granular permissions for non-HubSpot users. So essentially, we have a complete web application development environment available as well as customization inside HubSpot. Anya, thoughts that you want to add on that part of the conversation, this whole world of, can HubSpot support my custom enterprise requirements?
Yeah, I think the only thing to add in there, kind of building off of the Impulse conversation, just because I'm working very closely with it right now, is that we let the developers do the developer work and then they hand it off to us and we have to figure out how we're going to use it. And I think that that is one thing that we've also realized, again, being able to leverage lists and other things that are kind of native to us as HubSpot users. And then we can apply that in an environment that seems highly technical, but it all builds on top of each other. So I think that's like the really great thing to mention is that the HubSpot foundation it really spans across all platforms, no matter how technical, no matter what you're doing, you can always leverage something that's a little bit native to you, and it helps build on your experience. So just wanted to also throw that out there.
Absolutely. And I'm going to key into one thing you said that I want to make sure we call out, and that is that CRM data objects in HubSpot can be presented on a web-based user interface, whether it's on a website or web application. So if you're building, let's say, a property directory for your commercial real estate firm, or other asset inventories, or any other kind of data, we can display that in a website or web application seamlessly through HubSpot. We're the only one in the industry to do that natively inside our own CMS, all inside the HubSpot platform. So I know that we're down to the last minute or so here. I want to kind of conclude with a couple key summary points. Salesforce was created during a completely different era in cloud computing. The era of the gigantic CRT monitor that Chris, my good friend Chris, wants to get because he misses them. It's notorious for its legacy technology limitations. The average Salesforce customer uses 7 to 15 add-on products to make the platform operate as a truly sales-friendly CRM. And Salesforce, in comparison to HubSpot customers experience most, if not all, of these capabilities natively in the HubSpot platform. So if any of what we talked about today keys the thought in your mind about how do we take advantage of HubSpot or take more of advantage of HubSpot, please let us know and we'll make sure to connect you with Anya or another member of our HubSpot services team. Anya, any closing thoughts you want to share as we bring today's program to a conclusion?
No, I think we really did a great job of highlighting why HubSpot is an enterprise solution. And I also just want to leave everyone with we all had those computers in our home growing up, and how many of us killed our computers with LimeWire? I mean, I'm just saying, if that's what we're building upon, I'm not sure what kind of integrity we'll be dealing with.
I got to pull out my MySpace and my Napster, okay, and then we'll be ready to roll. That's awesome. Anya, thank you so much, and thank all of you for joining us today. We hope this has been an extremely informative and engaging hour. We will make sure to send the data sheet and the recording to everyone who registered and joined us today. Again, thank you for your interest in HubSpot, and we look forward to working with you on the Wendt Partners team. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks again, Anya.
Thank you.